What's up, guys? I'm Bind, and today I want to talk sketching. That's right. So, in the age of digital painting and drawing, as you guys might be aware of, a lot of people don't do sketching that much anymore. So, no matter what program you will use, be it Photoshop or Procreate or Clip Studio, they all have something in common, and that is you basically have unlimited tries for everything in these programs, which is why people get the impression that I might as well start the final image right away, and then I'll just in the process try how many times I need to until I get to what I want. So today I want to talk a little bit about why that is not always the best idea and how you can level up your art via sketching. Also, guys, if you want to see me do some sketching, some lengthy, real sketching, there's plenty of videos. I'll put one up over here for you to see. We did sketching digitally, we did value sketching, we did line sketching, I did analog sketching with watercolors, all of that stuff on my channel. So if you want to check it out, those are lengthy videos, and I will talk a lot more about the process there in detail. Also, guys, before we get into it, I think I'll have to address the elephant in the room, or should I say the room of the elephant in the room, right? So I am today not in the studio. I am halfway across the globe in Taipei City, and I packed all of the equipment, not all of it, but a lot of it, to be able to bring you guys a few videos while I'm here. So you can even see it in my cup. It also changed theme. That is now Taipei 101 instead of the usual old broken cup that you guys are used to. Also, I apologize, lighting is not the best. What can you do? But we'll try to make the best of it. So let's talk sketching. So I recently bought a new sketchbook. Bought it here in Taipei. I might have mentioned this before, but I'm coming to Taipei now for almost 20 years because my wife is from Taipei, so that is their place here that you see or not see in the background because it's too erratic, so I had to blur that out. So there's a lot of good art shops here in Taipei City, in case you didn't know. A lot more than we have over in the south of Germany, in Europe. So this, for example, is called Art Fans, and it's found in Schilling district. Of course, coming to this city for such a long time, I pretty much know lots of stuff and know my way around. So yeah, highly recommend, if you ever in Taipei City, check out the art stores, right? So this small sketchbook is what I want to talk about today. Not really about the sketchbook, but about the process, right, that I do. Sketching and how I think it can really improve your skills. Because let's face it, guys, of course you can go into Photoshop, Clip Studio, Procreate, any digital program, and just paint away and immediately do your final image and then post it on Instagram or put in your portfolio or sell it to the customer, whatever the case may be, right? So, but I want you to consider something, and it's something my professor has told me back in art school. If you can do iterations of stuff very fast and have an overview over those iterations, chances are you will get a better image. And that is because your first take will not always be the best take in terms of composition, maybe content idea, perspective, all of that stuff, right? So what we did back in art school is we would do thumbnails. Even if we design magazines or articles, stuff like that, we would do tiny thumbnails and then put them on the wall. And then you will very intuitively see what works better than the other thing, right? So I developed this habit. Of course, it's a little time consuming too, but it's a good habit, I think, to sketch some stuff. And this sketching is quite different from the sketching that you will see on social media. And I want to get into this just a little bit. Also, guys, if you hear some background noises, I apologize, but that is how the city works over here. It's just pretty busy all of the time, basically. So what I was getting at with social media sketching, if you go on Instagram, you will see tons of nice sketches. They will have sketchbook open like this and show you pretty image. Doesn't work that well because of the camera blur, but anyways, they will show you pretty image and then a part of the process, and then people like it and it's great. However, it's not really a real sketch. Now let me elaborate on this. So just so you understand, of course you can call anything a sketch, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that if all the final artwork was sketches, then we might as well call everything sketches, right? Doesn't make that much sense. So usually sketching, what it comes from is to be a step in the process and not the final product. But what people are showing you on social media is, of course, the final product. The product is the social media reel, the video, the image, whatever the case may be. That is the final product. And make no mistake about it, they planned this out like very intricately a lot of the time. So what you see is not an honest sketch. What you see is something that is highly controlled, a planned outcome to be able to generate attention and views and clicks and all of that stuff. And that is fine, but you shouldn't now go around and compare your sketching with the top tier sketching that you see on social media. That is, first, because as I just explained, it's not real sketching. Those people would never show you their bad sketches or just a rough unfiltered stuff the way it's supposed to be in your sketchbook, right? So your sketchbook is not meant to be a show reel. That's just nonsense, right? It's for you. It's your compendium, your means to documenting your idea and a possible outcome in the future, right? If you work on that and then import this maybe into Photoshop, into digital, like I do, then what you will get is a nice result. And planning that out via sketching should help you do that. So let's have a look into my sketchbook, this newly acquired one. And yeah, as you can see, pretty thick pages over here. That is because those are watercolor style paper. And the reason I want this, you will see it in a minute, is because I also sometimes want to put color on my sketches, right? But that is not essential. It's whatever you prefer. I recommend it being small though. This is a 15 centimeter square, so you can put any aspect ratio. That's a plus in my book. Also, you can bring this with you very easily, right? It's not like a huge A4 or bigger sketchbook that it's a huge hindrance. Then every time you go out, you might not bring it because it's too bulky, right? So you can see that first, the pencil sketch which is the real sketch, right? It looks chaotic. You can almost not tell, right? And then if we move on to the next page, you'll find that now if I like the sketch, I will ink it. And that then is debatable if that is still a sketch, because now that takes maybe 2 hours to do. It's intricate. You can see that even on a small format, it's quite complicated sketch. But it could pass as a sketch. It could also pass as a final image. You can also post this, scan it, color it, and then that might be your final image. What I did with this is I scanned it and imported it into Photoshop, and then I continued drawing, make it better. So in this case, that's a sketch. It's not a final image, but there is that kind of border where it blurs the lines between the final image and the sketch. And then next up you see that, yeah, if you render this in color and if you put more time into it, yeah, then you can still say that is a sketchbook page, and it is, but it is also a final image, right? This is not how you develop an idea. So what happens with me and why I like to do this is, first, I like to do little analog stuff by hand. It's just fun for me. Secondly, sometimes you get lucky, right? If your pencil sketch is really good and it's your first try, then why not ink it and color it if you think that there is potential for it, right? So this is the idea behind it. But typically, I will not force this into existence, right? Just to be able to brag on social media. Oh, look how good my sketches are. Guys, this is bullshit. People are, they're fooling you, right? Most of the time, but you know that, of course, people are aware of this, right? The sketching that is a showcase, oftentimes that is, it's not. It's a romantic idea. People are selling a romantic idea, a cliche, sitting in the cafe and then sipping on drinks and then sketching and living the lifestyle, all of that jazz, right? I'm not saying it's complete nonsense and never happens, but it doesn't really happen that often. I go out a lot and I don't ever see this happen in real life. Now, I have done this in real life, mind you, so it is possible, but in reality it's not as romantic, right? So you're sitting there sketching in the cafe and then people are interrupting you. It's noisy, maybe you don't have the best lighting, right? Do you ever notice that in these social media reels the lighting is always perfect? That's because it's usually fake. People bring a setup, or they know somebody who owns a bar and then they come in the off hours and they set up all the lighting, or they even set it up at home, right? And then they do a sketch that would take you 3 to 4 hours in real time. And then afterwards, of course, you only see the 30 seconds process of that, right? So now we come to the more sketchy stuff here, which is, yeah, again, I sketch mostly pencil, and there's not a lot in this book, but as you can see now, there's a page that is pretty much is a typical sketch. It's small, smaller than the page, and you can see that because it's small, I can utilize vanishing points outside of the frame. And this is not done, and while I'm talking, might as well continue drawing some of that. So as you can see how I typically do this, the pencil sketch, I'm not careful, and you can maybe sense this or see this. So you could say that my first take is the pencil sketch. Second take, when I ink it, that's already a second take, because I will then, over the pencil sketch, reinterpret some of the stuff and make it better and change it up. So you think about what is there, and then instead of painting next to it or on the next page a new iteration, I like to do the second iteration on top of the pencil sketch, which is another good reason to actually do the inking. So yeah, as you might see, then there's lots of empty space. I usually don't like to put something on the left side of the page, like of the book, because it's how where I rest my hands. But I will write into this information or do smaller stuff into this if I feel like it's necessary. So that's just a preference thing. Some people, most people, in fact, they stuff their sketchbook full of stuff. I usually don't do that. I like to have it loose. I like to be able to add stuff later and then rarely do it. And maybe I'm at fault for that, right? But that's just how I prefer it. Also, you can scan it more easily. You can take photos more easily. All of that, right? So I'm using pretty thin fine liner here, 0.1 or 0.3, and sometimes I switch it up. If I have to black out larger areas, I will use a different brush, but that's all personal preference. This is not what this video is about. And from this sketch, right, as it develops, you can see that, yeah, I'm drawing quite carefully with the ink, because again, I considered the inking process to be my second iteration already. And then what will happen is I will scan this. In this case, I will scan this 100%, and I will not use any of this because it's too small for that. It doesn't scale very well. If you put this into a Photoshop file and you have it like 6,000-7,000 pixels, it will look too rough. So what I will do, I will put it underneath and then decide which style I'm using digitally, right? So I'll either just paint over it or under it, however you like, and then discard the whole thing once I paint it enough so that I can see, similar to what you can see in my other videos where we did the value sketch and the line sketch, and then from that I painted a fully rendered image. So I do this quite a lot, and I also like to do, recently I like to do the more line art digitally. So what that means is I will still scan this sketch and put it into Photoshop, but then I will kind of blur it out in the background, a little bit like you would do in a comic book process, where you have the pencil drawing and then have that very faint and then do the inking over it. And I will do new inking that is more intricate, so that then is my third iteration of the same thing, and then I put more details, and when I'm happy with that, I can discard of the sketch, and that will just remain in my sketchbook just as a reminder. It will end up on my shelf, and people probably will never see it, other than maybe in a video where I start from that point just to render it later. So anyways, guys, this is just a small insight into my sketching process, and I also teach the sketching like this to my students, right, in art school. I teach bachelor students. Mentioned this once or twice, and what I tell them also is, if you want to generate an idea, you have to do some sketching, because else you just flip through online through some galleries and then end up having some very strong ref that you like, but you cannot just copy the ref, because as a designer, as an artist, you want to come up with your own stuff. So you can't have the ref dictate you what to do, right? It's not how it works. So to break loose from this, even with the ref, just do little sketches. And if you don't like the first one, and if you do them very small with a pencil, they don't take long. They take maybe 15 minutes, Some may take you 30 minutes, some may take you 45 minutes, some may take you an hour. But then again, an hour is still not very long compared to like a lengthy painting process that you will then proceed to do once you decided that you like the sketch. So what I'm saying is, you better spend some more time on that sketch and do 1 or 2 more iterations, and I promise you, you will have a better result, and you will have something that is a lot more worthwhile if you compare these iterations and then choose the best one. You will quickly find that the first take is not always the best, and then maybe the second or third one is good, and maybe after the third one you see that the first one was actually the best. But you will not realize this unless it manifests in front of your eyes, and unless you see that happen, right? So guys, let me know what you think about sketching. How do you do sketching? Let me know if this is a good idea or not. Well, it's not my idea, of course, but you know what I mean. That process, do you think it works for you or not? And yeah, let me know down below. Happy sketching. Catch you in the next one. Hopefully also from Taipei City still. Let me know if you want to see, you want some information about those art stores in the city. We'll be happy to put them down below. So anyways guys, see you next time.